Okay.
I know we were a little late, so let's see.
What I'll do is I'm going to put my video like this for just a second.
Okay. Mhm. Let's see, so here it is live. Oh, we were a little.
So are we live?
Yeah, we're already live.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, then let's have a conversation. I thought I was
Okay.
waiting for you.
No, 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 no. You're good.
Okay. Well,
Um,
yeah.
so just in case whoever's watching or whoever's about to join, um, we're live right now, right here with Maria Lupita Gurule. You know, we've done a few lives already. We've done two lives, right?
Hmm.
Oh, here's my voice. So we actually wanted to open it up to see what people want to know, right? We wanted to find out what kind of questions people have right now, what's going on with them. Um, so to anyone that hops in, you know, I guess I'm gonna have to be repeating this because I know the video is just going. But
Hmm.
yeah, what kind of things people have in mind? I'm gonna put actually for the live call-ins. If people want to call in, or if it's someone I know, then I could just send them the direct link and they could come in video with the video. But let me see. But
Okay.
go ahead if you wanna just start, and then if I see anyone right now, I'll I'll see if they want to come in. Let me see. Oh shoot. I gotta
Okay.
write down this whole
So,
meeting
I
ID.
appreciate that you're doing all the technical stuff. I appreciate that because that's a
Absolutely.
lot. So, yeah, I'll just have conversation as you begin and whoever happens to join, and we'll just repeat it again. I am really curious as to what people want to know because everybody's on a different path and on a different part of the path, but we're all in the same path, right? So, just to start off the conversation is like, what is the main reason why we're even here?
Mm,
Like, why are we here? What's the point? And then it gets to a point when we realize that what the point actually is. We're all headed in a particular journey, and the way that I understand it to be is that ultimately, we are a created species. We're incredible miracles. When we opened up this conversation right before we began to go live is, we experience miracles every day. And we experience miracles every day, but we ourselves are a miracle. It's like what we ourselves are. And when we realize why we are actually here, is that at this time on this planet, it is no greater time than in recent history. And when I talk recent history, I'm talking like the last 26,000 years, that we are a species that was created to evolve and was actually intervened. So when we talk about like our human DNA and all of that junk DNA, as they call it, thinking that it's dormant or it really there's a misunderstanding of what that even is.
mm,
At this time, we are being activated. It's like we ourselves are going through a human evolution. Like so many people are experiencing a lot of physical sensations of what this even means. We just went through this past week a most incredible time with all of these solar storms. Now, it's important to know that there is a cycle of solar storms. Solar
mm,
storms happen regularly. Okay, and there is like a solar storm cycle, just like we would have seasons of weather on our planet. There is also seasons of weather on the sun. But what is most different at this time is that it is emitting a quantity and a quality and a magnitude of energy unlike it's ever been it's unprecedented.
mm,
So there's what they call X flares. So just like classes of tornadoes, so when they say like a class 5 tornado is like the worst. Well, an X class solar flare is the worst. And we've
mm,
even had what are called cannibalistic solar flares, which means that a solar flare is emitted from the sun. And I love that this is the perfect background to have.
Mm,
It's like all of this cosmic energy being sent. I mean, the entire life is informed by the sun on this planet, and so are we. And what is happening with our sun and the quality of the energy that's being emitted is awakening all of this within us. You know, that so many people are feeling a lot of different things, feeling like a difference of these two different realities. I've talked about that a lot. And I don't even know if people really fully understand what that even means. You know, so I would love to have a conversation about that. So if people want to hop in and ask about that, because I would really love to be able to explain that, because when we understand what's happening, then we are put in a position of where we can help guide how this affects us. You know, that life is happening, this evolution is happening, change is happening on the planet. It's happening whether we want it to happen or not. And either we resist it and struggle through it, or understand it and go with the flow with it. If
mm,
we understand it, then we can like utilize it. All of this is here to help us evolve, not only within our own selves. Every single one of us came with a certain set of soul goals. Okay. What are we here to learn? What am I here to experience? What am I here to teach? What have I already mastered? What am I discovering self mastery? You know, we as souls on this planet experience so much because of the complexity of emotions,
mm,
right? So there is so much that happens to us as souls at this time. There's a lot that's happening on our planet at this time because of all of this energy with the sun.
mm,
Not only that, but we're also really, truly, we can imagine that we are a moving galaxy hurling at like incredible speeds that we can't even comprehend, right? Right next to other galaxies that are also spinning at the exact same time. But like parts of ours are like actually colliding with Andromeda. Like and then we're a cluster of galaxies that's hurling through space. Like there's all of this stuff that's happening, and we're in constant motion. And we're these little teeny tiny specks on this little teeny tiny planet having
mm.
all of our drama and emotions.
Yeah, no. Real quick, someone, or you want to finish that thought? Cause someone asked a
No,
question in the.
go for it.
Okay. Um, because yeah, you were on a roll, so I didn't want to
Mm,
interrupt you. But okay, so um, I don't know if she minds if I use her name because I know who it is. But while she has a question about like your area of expertise before she calls in
mm.
or ask a question, just so she knows, I guess for her, what exactly you would consider. I could answer it, but I mean, go ahead. It's your,
I love it.
it's you.
Okay.
But go ahead.
So this is a beautiful way, because this is like the probably the number one thing that I struggled with is like, what do I call myself and how do I explain what I even do? So bottom line is I'm a soul reader, and a soul reader means that when I am with an individual, it is really up to the individual for them to guide and show me what is needed for them. And it could be anything and everything. So it started off with me as a medium first, meaning that I can sense and feel people who have passed and crossed over because I had a near-death experience. I died, and I could feel people who have crossed, but I feel them equally in the body as I do on the other side because there is no difference. We are a soul with or without a body. So when I began to have sessions with mediumship, okay, it opened up into me telling them things about their life, things that had already happened. There were times where I would tell people things when it made no sense, only because it had not even happened yet. But I don't claim to know the future because I don't understand what I'm being shown or told to know whether it's past, present, or future. I'm
Mm,
just telling people what is coming through. I've had people call me say that what I told them like a long time ago made no sense to them, but because it did not even happen yet. And so it's really about understanding themselves, that it could include a Akashic record reading. It could be looking at past lives. It could be looking at, you know, their soul's contracts, their soul's agreement. So I have yet to experience a limit for this.
mm,
So because I had my near-death experience, What I do is I'm really good at getting out of the way. I'm really good at really opening up and praying, first of all, and asking to connect with the person's soul. It's only ever with their permission. So if a person is skeptical, oh my God, they wreak havoc on their sessions because of their thoughts and like what they expect. Okay. So I sit with the individual and I just begin to tell them all of this stuff, and it could be anything.
Yeah.
So that may not that may not whittle it down enough for the person. So I don't
No,
know.
no, yeah. And
Mhm.
it's Christy. No, she no, no, I think well, we'll wait to see what she says if she wants to call in or not, or come in through video. I could bring her in through video because I could send
Mhm.
her the link. But no, I love that answer because that's the same thing. I always just say I'm a freak of nature, right? Like I like that one because it kind of sums it up.
Mhm.
And it's funny what you were talking about because I had a dream recently, and that's what happened, right? It was like it was weird. It was very like it was I almost didn't want to share it with anyone. I don't know. Should I share it? Okay, I'll just share it then. What do you think?
It's entirely up to you. The
Yeah.
most important thing to know is like, yeah, freaks of nature, right? We are every single one of us is intuitive,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely.
Every single one of us has this ability. However, there are those who have this ability of sensing and feeling, greater. A lot of times people are receiving guidance but aren't able to acknowledge it as for what it is because they may not distinguish it as separate from themselves. There's just so much that is available if we learn. So here's the thing is that the way that what I describe it to be is that intuition is the language of our soul. Our intuition speaks to us. It's and through us. It is a part of us. It is a language and a development of a relationship with us. We have this deeper inner soul that is beyond our thoughts, our day-to-day problems, our to-do list. There's a deeper part of us that is here. And it is ever so subtle, quiet, right? And so when we connect with that part, that's the part that has all of the wisdom. It's the eternal part of ourselves. It's part of this consciousness, okay? I don't distinguish soul and consciousness to be different. Those are like indistinguishable because our consciousness is what is here. So many times people they're not in alignment with themselves because they're not conscious. Their consciousness is not where their body is. Okay, so people are
Mm,
driving and they're thinking about work. When they're at work, they're thinking about home. When they're at home, they're thinking about work. So they're never ever really truly where their body is. Right? That's our consciousness, but there's even greater. So just like that same situation, the greater, bigger part of ourselves is on the other side. We have the ability for this, and what we're meant to become is um, an aware human being that is aware that they carry this consciousness, this soul. I call it the God spark. Call it the life spark. Okay, those two are the same thing. We carry something so precious within us. But at this time, with what is happening on this evolution of this, our humanness, our human ability, this thinning of the veil, this extra energy from the sun, is that there is this greater energy, this greater frequency, this greater vibration. I want to discuss the difference between vibration and frequency. There's two parts of the same thing. We have a vibe, and how frequently we emit that is our frequency, how frequent we vibe it out, okay? So we're going through a process of where we're working and healing ourselves, releasing our inner pain, overcoming beliefs, healing our traumas so that we can feel better inside. When we feel better inside, we realize like, wow, this is something really incredible. Like there's so much more. We find a sense of peace.
mm,
That sense of peace is like is the seed that we want to follow.
mm,
Where it's seeking and guiding us to something that we feel. We know that it's there. And what we're meant to be, okay, on this planet is this soul aware being that fuses with what I call spirit, okay, with that greater frequency. So a soul and spirit infused being, aware, aligned, cooperative, creative, and the creativity is one of the best ways to tap into that.
Mm,
So that's a whole other thing. So like some of the questions that it came up, like, why are we here? And there's so much more to it, but what are we? How do we create our reality? How do we connect to source? Like those are the things that are most important. That's what we're here for. And that's what I feel most passionate about. So when I'm given the ability to sit with an individual, if given permission, their own soul will guide them.
yeah,
So you could even be talking about it really can. I've seen anything and everything because anything that can exist does, so I can talk to one individual where it can be 100% all in the language of their belief system,
mm,
in the way that they need to hear it, in the messages that are there for them, in the way for them. People will be afraid of like, well, I'm not ready to hear what she might have to say, but if it comes up for a reason. And many times there's opportunities for healing that come up. So it's also like an understanding of what their situation is.
absolutely.
Yeah. For me, that's the most important thing.
No, and
Is
it's
it?
funny. Oh, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, because that's kind of what I had dreamed, right? In the dream, it was like
Mm.
it was very like I don't know, it was funny because I was speaking like the parables, right? Like Jesus, and I was like, oh, like I was saying all these things like even though they see, they still do not. But I don't know. I was saying like all the parables, right? Because there was someone like it was like I kept showing them. And then I even made this cow float on top of a tree. I was like, and the cow was all like, moo. And then I brought it back down from the tree. And this person was just like, no, no, I don't want to believe. So I was just like doing all these things. And I was like, wow, that was interesting.
So, but it's interesting that you say that because in this dream, right, you're doing all of these incredible, miraculous things. And I find it so interesting that so I do oftentimes get a lot of like, oh my gosh, that thinking that this is so wrong. And I feel that a big part of my purpose is to help be this bridge, to help understand that we are so much greater than our belief system and what we've been told and the limited language that we were given. So oftentimes, so I was born and raised Catholic and Hispanic Catholic and Spanish Catholic. Okay. So I received all of my, every single one of my sacraments. I even taught second grade catechism. I couldn't reconcile my near-death experience with what was happening to me afterwards because I was sensing and feeling souls that had crossed. I could communicate. And at first I was told like, oh my gosh, that is, and I always get, the Bible's passage, and especially from Deuteronomy. And so
Yeah.
I'm like, yes. And the thing is that I'm in agreement. We shouldn't be messing with things that we do not understand.
Mm,
Really, really, truly, indeed shouldn't. And most people who I call it dabbling, because there is a field of energy that is available. And in that field, there are lower spirits. And there are those energies and entities that do actually do attach and they wreak havoc on our systems. That all absolutely does indeed exist. And we should not be messing in those realms. Absolutely. However, we have a greater essence inside of us that actually is taught and talked about in the Bible, right? So the passage you're talking about. So like in John 14, it actually talks about that where he actually says that be thankful that after me, that greater things are going to come and that greater things will you do in my name. And be thankful so using that language, the great comforter will be here, that the Holy Spirit will come after. And this is that frequency. So these things are not separate. When I say that in the Bible, where they say that the Holy Spirit will be made available for all to connect to, and that things will be done in his name, is the exact same thing of saying, oh my gosh, right now in the universe, all of this energy and the frequency is happening and it is enlivening us within. It is helping us to connect to our life spark, and we're actually evolving into our DNA because we're going to have all this ability to do these things, right? Same language, same thing, different language. Different language, same thing.
no,
I
absolutely.
see somebody's on.
Yeah, but let me see. I'm asking them to unmute.
Okay.
Let's see if they could hear us. I don't know if I could unmute them. Yeah, no, but that's like what was oh, could you hear?
Hello?
Yeah. Okay. So this is Christy, Maria. So you could oh wow. Right when I did that, something went dark real quick.
I saw it flicker.
You saw it? You
I
saw
saw
it?
it. I did.
Wow, look at you guys bringing all this energy.
Well,
What's
I'm
up,
just
guys?
about to ask her. So what is your name?
My name's Christy.
Okay, Christy. I can feel your stomach turning. Oh my God. So your stomach is flipping like crazy right now because I'm like trying to settle myself. So it's okay if you just allow me, give me permission. I thank you first of
Mhm.
all because this is only ever with permission. I had to
Yeah.
learn how to manage it actually because I would sense and feel stuff about people all the time, and I don't think that that's appropriate. So I had to learn how to like manage it. So you're in
Okay.
good hands. Why do I feel like were you on the last time?
No, I wasn't.
Okay. You didn't watch live part of it? Tail end?
Uh, the last one you guys did?
Mm-hmm.
No, it was my other
No,
friend. And unless she's watching right now, because she was watched too, so maybe you're feeling her energy.
Okay. Ooh, okay, so this is going to be interesting. So whatever I may tell you, if it doesn't apply to you, you let me know because it could also be somebody who's watching who might also want to connect. Because I'm feeling that caught the tail end of it and wanted to tap in and ask questions. So whoever that is, I guess you're coming up, so I feel
Mhm.
you. So, okay, for you, Christy, then. So, yeah, what question might you have?
So, I have, well, this question is just, you might feel a ton of different things going on because I feel like I'm just clustered right now. But the main question I was going to ask was, uh, about being stuck. Like, I've never been stagnant, stuck like this
Mhm. Okay.
for, geez, forever. And then now I just feel like I'm like stuck and like I'm not, I don't know, like something's holding me back, but I don't know. I'm just like,
First,
I don't
it's
know how to ask.
interesting for me. The image that I have around you is I see a ton of feathers. I don't know why, but I see a ton of feathers. I see moving feathers and a lot of feathers. I see a movement and like even wings. So when I talk about that imagery for you, so first I feel like, okay, do you actually do some kind of working with feathers? What does that mean for you?
I work with feathers. I beat them. I'm actually
Okay.
dealing with them right now, trying to get some, but yeah.
Okay. So this is a way for me to make sure that I'm connecting with you because I'm seeing all the feathers. God, your work is beautiful because I'm seeing, okay, hmm, you do beautiful work. I see that you infuse your prayers and all that you are in your heart into your work and what you do and how you offer them. I feel that part of you is feeling like, hmm, you feel like it's not sacred enough. Like you're like it's art and it's like people aren't understanding like really what they are. Because you like I see you pouring your heart and your soul into them, but I also feel you there's also like an underlying sadness. I feel a female energy. Ooh, and my neck is kinked like really, really bad. So do you yourself feel oftentimes like a pinch in your neck? You're carrying it here or someone around you. And I feel female, big.
Um, my neck mainly, it's been like literally making my whole every night sleep hard.
Okay. And it's even impacting your work. So I'm seeing like if you've started to wear a
Mhm.
glove and even like, okay, so has your hand started to shake already?
No, not really.
Okay, so pay special attention to this because my hand actually, and what I'm feeling is a pinch in the neck. I do feel the pain that you have. Somehow it seemed like my hand is still shaking again. So, and it's on the
Mhm.
left side is where I'm feeling it. So it feels like the left side represents the feminine. And I also again feel really strong lineage to female. I feel like you're missing. missing mom energy? Where does that come in for you?
Well, yeah, I've been kind of missing my mom. She passed away a while ago, like maybe 5 years ago. I can't remember it was 2019. And then like also I had like my sister was kind of my mom growing up.
Hmm.
She was always around me. She passed away this last year, so
Okay.
I guess it's both of them.
Because and I feel it. So I feel like the very, very strong, like missing that energy, but also I'm missing on the feminine side. So I feel like there's a lot. So coming back to the original question, okay? So like these are the things that I'm feeling within that you're like wanting to tap into. I feel like this underlying sadness of wanting to connect into something deeper. I feel that the work that you do, oh, my stomach just flipped really, really big. So are you also, I'm going to come back to this again, is like having problems with digestion, like even heartburn, but I feel like it's more digestion, just an unsettled, anxious feeling in your stomach.
Yeah, well, just earlier today I did, but I kind of think it was the mango nada I had. I couldn't even finish it. I was like, I can't even drink it.
Okay.
So it's
Okay.
kind of like, I don't know. I kind of been having that.
A little bit. And so this
Mhm.
really does feel to me. So you're with this shift and change that's coming up, and ooh, I do feel like you're in the position of having to decide, okay, like big decisions, not just with what you want to do, but also in general of like where you want to live, who you want to live with, what direction you want to go in. So I feel like a big, big shakeup that's like coming. And it feels like this, but I do the majority that I feel is like just this deep sadness. In that place, I okay, give me a moment. I really stray away from flowers, but I am seeing like the most enormous red flower. It's huge, okay? And I'm like, okay, is it a rose? It could be, but it's just this big red flower. So, I actually see that's more like a plant. It feels to me like this woman is handing it to you, but it's in a planter. Does that make sense to you?
No, I know, well, I know, I don't know if this makes any sense, but I do work with some ladies that do work with flowers, and
Mhm.
I get a lot of, um, then I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah. And that's okay. I think it just also comes up because it feels like that was really good for you. So like working with earth, working with energies of the plants. I feel like you have an ability within you that you haven't fully tapped into. A sanar a los manos, like to work with your hands for healing. I see like even working with, if you're not doing something artistic already, well, okay, beyond your beading, um,
Mhm.
but this is big. I see colors, I feel textures, materials, but then I see like designs and sketches. So are you also like wanting to design? Help me understand what that is.
It could be from like what I used to do. I used to do marketing stuff, and I had to design everything and do like websites, and
Okay.
I did a lot of that, but it came to a stop. So like now I'm like I want to continue doing that, but I'm at a standstill. It's like
And now I see
I've
you doing
I
it for
don't know.
yourself.
That's it.
Okay.
Hmm.
So I see you doing it for yourself. Ooh, and then right now I feel like this huge energy right in my heart. Okay. Something over you makes you feel like you can't or that you shouldn't. Okay. When everything inside of you is like, that's what you want to do. Okay, so I see you doing creative things. Now, the interesting thing is I see you doing like putting together the web design and marketing, but all for you. I see like you actually stepping up into something more spiritual. So it feels like if you have like a practice where you do I see ceremony. I see ceremony, rituals. I hear song. I feel dance. I feel movement. So do you do that in your culture?
It's been a long time since I have.
Okay. So I'm feeling like you reconnecting with you because it feels like there's like a part of you feels like missing and it feels like but it's not missing. You haven't lost it. It's like like put in a safe place for you. Now, I feel it again in my heart. So if you are if you're willing, Christy, like I feel okay, and I also hear your prayers. Okay. So like I'm literally being told in the moment of like that you're praying, but my prayers aren't being answered. And they're like, we're hearing your prayers. They are guiding you. They are directing you, but it just feels like it's scary. So it's like we want the answer to be one thing, but they are guiding you and you are listening. And it feels like, okay, I don't know how personal you want me to get. I don't know how much permission I have, but I just feel you going through like a really, really big transition, but you have support through it. Okay. Now I feel
Hmm.
two kids. So do you have two children or are you one of two?
No, I have my daughter and my nephew right now.
Okay, okay. So I'm feeling like you taking care of two children, and I feel like that's also part of
Hmm.
it, is like yeah, like making sure you have like the support for everybody and how to do it. But I not only do you like I feel like you in this deep, deep place of now, if I say the word despair, I don't mean it to be so heavy, but I feel
Hmm.
like in this deep place of like praying, like, and all of a sudden I feel all this emotion. I just feel your heart of like, God, like, help me. Just God, help me. Just God, help me. When and I feel like they're like, I want to reassure you, like there is so much support. Like I feel actually feel like the angels surrounding you. And I do feel your mom and I do feel your sister. Like I feel like that missing of like, how can I be mom when you're missing mom energy? And right now all I want to do is just like love you. Yeah. And I feel like somehow this
Hmm.
woman that you might be helping with the flowers somehow helps you in some way. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
it does.
Yeah, so it feels like knowing that there's goodness that can come. You're worthy of beautiful goodness. And the most important thing is that it feels like you have a knowing inside, but it's the fear of how. Like, but what if I do? What if what will happen? Like we are afraid of that next step. We're all walking a bridge that's being built while we're on it, and that's scary. But this thing that I'm talking about is that like we have something magical inside of us. If we understood this power that we have inside of us, it would change how we begin to trust. And now that's a process of learning. It takes a while. You know, I even had to tattoo it to myself so that I could
Hmm.
constantly remind myself to trust. And it's interesting.
Uh-huh.
That's actually the shape of a feather. I don't know if you can see that, but yeah, it's interesting. That comes like as another message for you. I feel you stepping into into your art in a bigger way. I see you even coming back into it because right now it feels like it's out of need, and out of need doesn't feel good when you want to be creative and like just like and I feel that there's potential for you to have customers and clients come to you, but it feels like do it for yourself first in the way that you want. So you tap back into it. You begin to learn the new stuff that's out there. And I see that you like have a whole line of, mm, I don't want to call it jewelry, but I see like key rings, earrings, small things like necklaces. Do you even make little booties like in animal things? Do you how much beadwork do you do?
Um, I do. I do a lot. I use different items, but like right now, I'm just concentrating on like my daughter's stuff.
Okay. All of that feels like it's gonna come back. Okay, now all of a sudden I get the number 13. So how old is your daughter?
She's just turned 18.
18. Okay, so her at
Hmm.
13. I'm drawn to that age. So about 5 years ago, um, big change. It feels like you like I don't know, some all of a sudden you guys I see the two of you together 5 years ago on your own.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mm, I'm trying to think.
And it's not something you have to say like necessarily now. It's maybe just something to reflect on later because I see her at age
Mhm.
13. And so whatever that age is like significant for her that's showing up in her life now. And so that's like the age that they get me to go to. 13 numbers are
Mhm.
always difficult because it could be like an age, an amount of time. So it could be like something for 13 years, but I really feel like her at age 13. So if like
Okay.
let me ask you this. Have you 5 years ago, did you like really like this was at your highest with all of the beadwork and then you like slowly came back down?
No, actually not with that. It was more like my job was at its peak,
Okay.
and my daughter was with my mom. Like they were like two peas in a pod.
Mm, okay. Okay. Now because to me it feels like and so you have all of your creative side and then and then the work. Okay, because I saw something at a peak at that time. Okay. So this is just feeling like it's coming, it's like okay. I'm gonna come back to the left side shaking. Did um did your mom or anyone experience like slight tremors, have a bit of Parkinson's?
Um, no, well, I would say like to be correct, I want to say 5 years ago, or I don't know, I can't remember. I think let's say 5 or 6 years ago, she had, I want to say 11 or 12 strokes in a row, and nobody knew what was going on. There were mini strokes.
Okay. Because
Um,
what I'm feeling is like stroke, something with something affecting the mobility, something with Parkinson's, like
mhm.
something having to do with the tremors. Okay. Um, and all of a sudden, I don't know if this applies to the woman, I don't know how I want to say the woman that you're taking care of with the flowers. I don't know if you're taking care of her, but that's what it feels like to me. Um, that somehow like there's an element of caregiving for her and there's a sense of appreciation. Would that be accurate? Because there's a sense of caregiving or who's the caregiver? Where does that fall into your experience?
I was always the caregiver for basically anybody that be. Basically, I became the mom.
Okay.
But I was always the
So
one taking care of everything.
okay. And so this I think comes back full circle. So for so soul reading, okay? So I'm sensing and feeling like all of these different things that are coming up that are like all astir within you. And then coming back to your original question is like I feel kind of stagnant. How do I know my purpose? How do I tap into that? And so these are the things that are like these are things that have happened that have like a gift inside of them. When we're able and willing to like instead of bypass the pain, our pain
Mhm.
pushes us to our purpose. So inside of there's a gift. There's a gift in there that's like, okay, what is it that I no longer can handle right now? Like life has brought you to a point where you're like, I don't want to do that anymore, and that we come to a place of realizing life is short. Like what is the thing that I have to do? And one of the best ways that we can really help ourselves is like what is the thing that helps us to wake up in the morning? And then what is the other thing is what is the thing that if I have to do it one more day, I can't handle? So those are the messages of our soul. Those are the parts that are guiding us, okay? But what I feel is really happening within you is that I feel that you're embarking on a whole creative field that's going to tap you into that thing I was talking about, that creative energy. When you go into that place of creativity, you feel a sense of peace. When you feel that sense of peace, it plants a seed of hope. Hope then turns into a little bit of faith. Faith then turns into like, I think I can trust now. When trust happens and you're like, I think I can take that next step. I don't know, but that's kind of scary, but it's cool, right? So it's a
Mhm.
process. So the way I see you is ultimately having clientele where you're actually doing a whole thing of like websites, but also helping them marketing in a different way, like with it's a whole thing. I feel you like tapping into digital stuff, digital art. I see even like doing a whole suite of like branding for people, but I see you doing this for yourself first. Okay. So I see you creating your own website, your own branding, your own personalization, and then all of your stuff that you make, that I feel that you have amassed like enough to be able to put online like a shop. Okay. And then it feels like, well, how am I going to keep up with it? Hmm. They're very, very unique items. And if people wanted to place orders, then you can charge more. Okay, so like I see you tapping into all this creativity, and so this work that you're doing is going to kind of help balance out, which gives you more time to help with your daughter. I feel that like as she sees you using your tools and strength, like learning how to do this, like overcoming trauma, learning how to overcome grief, which I get, like learning how to tap into yourself. She's going to see you do this for yourself, and that's going to help her in a huge way. Huge. So,
Mhm.
I know that that's a tidbit. Thank you for so being willing to like be so vulnerable out there. I thank you so immensely. Like we can go into
Mhm.
it so much more deeper, but it's like I can see a map laid out for you. It's like if you like overcoming these pieces are guiding you in the direction. If we have a willingness to look in the parts that hurt, it heals, and through it, miracles. So it's like it's just that you're right in it and it feels raw, but it's like there is hope. I see you surrounded. I see and I do feel your mom and your sister both. And it feels like you get to do that for your own Hita in a big
Mhm.
way. Yeah. I know she's missing it from your mom because your mom was like her mom, and I see that. But I also feel
Mhm.
like this is a way for you to, because I see there were arguments between perhaps you and your mom of who the mom was. And you're like, your mom now. Yeah. Okay. So she's like, your mom now. And she's like, yeah, because
Yeah.
she tried to, she's so sneaky. Your mom knew how to get you, and she's showing it to me. Okay. So she knew how to be like, well, you're the mom. And then, well, you're not the mom. I'm raising her. So you're like, well, which is it? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So she just sends a lot of love for you, for both of you. And she acknowledges you're doing the best you can. I see a big sale of the house or something about the house being sold, something. Does that make sense to you?
I'm thinking my nephew's house.
Okay. That feels
Mhm.
good. Then actually, if there's worry or concern of how that's going to go, but he's got to fix those few things. I know you don't want to, but he's got to, especially that back corner. That make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, it does. Thank you so much. I appreciate everything.
Okay. You're very, very welcome. Thank you for letting me. Blessings to you.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
All
Bye.
right. Bye.
All right, we could end the show there.
Okay.
No, I'm just playing. I'm just
I'm
playing.
like, there you go. Mhm.
No, that was beautiful. Thank you for
Yeah.
yeah, for both of you for letting me sit through that. It's
Yeah. Thank you for
you know,
see there's if I'm gonna share this story, okay? So maybe this is like this is amazing. Maybe and I know that we can keep going and going and going, but maybe this is the way to do this is following our intuition sometimes always does not make sense, okay? We might expect like intuition is like the clear path and all the steps are laid out, but it's not so much that way, okay? So I too recently, one of my favorite passages is John 4:48, where it says, until you people see signs and wonders, you will not be able to believe, right? You can't believe unless
yeah.
you see the signs and wonders. And so we have to open up ourselves into our ability to see. It's a way of living. It's a way of there's this flow of life that we may not understand and we may not know why we do things in the moment, but there's a reason. Okay. So I'll explain something really fast. Super cool story. So I'm helping my son learn how to drive. And when I was 19 years old, okay, I'd been driving since before that, but when I was 19 years old, I got my CDL. That's a commercial driver's license. I was this little teeny tiny chicanita, 19 years old in this class filled with, all these heavy duty equipment operators and, sanitation workers. And there I am, this little girl, at 19 years old. But I worked for a senior program, the senior services for
Mm,
adults, older adults, for activities. And we drove senior vans. And there was this worker, who helped and taught me how to drive. So he taught me how to, do the walk around, how to drive to prepare for the actual driving test. Because it's one thing to take a test, you can memorize all the answers, right? And just go and check off all the right boxes. But I got to drive the thing too. So here I am, this little teeny tiny thing, because I'm only 5 feet. Okay. I'm
mm,
short, I'm tiny. And so he taught me how to drive a 15 passenger van and then even one of those huge, buses,
mm,
that had an endorsement in brakes, an endorsement in passengers, all kinds of stuff. But I had to learn how to drive it. So I had him heavy on my mind. Okay. As I'm describing this to my Hito, and I told him, I said, I'm teaching you in the way that he taught me. So then didn't think much of it. And I let it go and I was thinking of him. The next day, I had this pressing to go to a local store. And I'm like, I was all tirada, meaning like thrashed. I looked like a mess. I had no business being in public. I looked like I barely woke up and just rolled out of bed kind of thing because I was doing chores but I decided like I felt this pressing. I had to go and I had to go now. And everything inside of me could have been like, don't go tomorrow. But I heed the call. When stuff like that happens and it doesn't pass, and I'm like, okay, okay, yes, I'll go. So I went. So I went to this little local shop and I went and I got the things that I needed. I get to the counter and the girl, she looks familiar. And I'm like, do I know you? Didn't make sense. Give her my card and she sees my name. She's like, oh, Lupita? Lupita Gurule? And she's like, did you work with the city? And I'm like, yeah, I did ages ago. And she was like, did you work with my dad? And I'm like, oh my God.
mm.
It's the same person who taught me how to drive.
Oh, wow.
Her dad that I
Yeah.
had just been talking about the day before. Okay. So then we started having this conversation of like, and I'm all of a sudden like, oh my God, oh my God, when? When did your dad pass? And then all of a sudden, all of these messages started to come through for her.
Mm,
I saw balloons, which represents a birthday. She had just celebrated a birthday for him, even though he
mm,
had already crossed. So, unbeknownst to me, I'm thinking of him. But here I am the next day. I gotta go. Why? I don't know. Okay, what? Go to the store. Okay, why am I going to the store right now? I can't. Okay, go to the store. I went to the store. Okay, everything within me could have denied that moment. I would have missed her. She would have been off. I would have gone to the store another time. I would have gone to a different store because I was actually out of town, right? I would have gotten what I needed in the town that I'm staying rather than in where I was at. So nothing made sense for me to be there other than her dad. So her dad took me there. Her dad
mm.
brought me there to be able to pass on the messages for him. And in those moments, I am so thankful that I follow that gut feeling. That in
Absolutely.
the moment, it made no sense to me. So spirit doesn't say, okay, well, you got to go to the store at this time because you got to talk to so and so. Okay. And it's not like I feel the dad, oh, hey, go to that store because you got to talk to my daughter. It's more of a feeling. It's a pressing. It's like I just follow the next steps, and then as long as I trust the steps that I take, I know that and I'll end up right where I need to be. And I have a willingness that may God use me in that way. And I never deny that because I understand that we know what works through me. And if I never had the ability to have the courage, you know, so, but we all have that. If we just understand that we carry something so special that God's.
No, yeah, no, absolutely. Oh,
Mhm.
no, like, well, since you shared that, like, that I had a kind of a moment like that, a few days ago. I was working this job. We're working actually on this movie, right? And so we're working, and it's like kind of like a deserty place, right? So the whole ground is covered with rocks and everything, and even where they have the wardrobe trailers, it's all rocks and everything, right? And so I had been there since earlier, so I'm at some like where we call holding. I don't know if you're familiar with like how the whole movie stuff works, right? But like I'm over there, and this girl walks in, and she looks sad, and I felt her sadness instantly, right? Like her heart was like, I felt it. I was like, oh, and I guess she had lost the ring
Mhm.
that was special to her, and I felt how special. I was like, oh, so, you know, I guess I was being pushed to ask her, like, well, where did you draw? Oh, it's over there. But I'm like, and did they help you look? Yeah, yeah, no, it's no like no use. It's no like that kind of thing, right? I was like, okay. So, I knew like something was pushing me to like I knew. And then so I was like, oh, show me, and they happened to call us, I guess, after the wardrobe, they put us all like in a line. So we went over there, and I like, show me where you dropped the ring. No, no, they already helped me look. We're not gonna find it. Okay, show me where the ring. Like, I wasn't gonna take no for an answer. And then even someone else I think was like, hey, just show, like, I like, show me where you dropped your ring. Like I knew already, like something was pushing me, right? And then we go and we're looking. Yeah, no, we're not gonna, it's nothing but rocks and rocks and rocks. So it was like, and out of a sudden, like, I think she looks up and she's, oh my God, here it is. She gets her little ring. And then after, I wanted to know the backstory. So it was like someone had given it to her. I didn't ask her if that person had passed away though. So I didn't know if it was them that was guiding me, that was pushing me.
That's what I was
But
gonna tell you.
once I heard the story, I got it. But then it was even deeper for me.
Mhm.
I had this all of a sudden, foof. And I remember to being in high school, and there was a girl that I guess, when you're young, it's like, I guess, we liked each other, and I held like one of like a ring of hers or something, right? Like that, kind of like you're testing to see if someone, oh yeah, well, it's something special to them, so you ask them to let you hold it. And this
Mhm.
girl let me hold like a ring that I guess her grandma had given her.
Mhm.
And years later, she asked me for it, and I had lost it or something. And I remember I felt horrible about it. And it's like all of a sudden, after this girl, like, I guess helping her find that ring, that popped in my head, almost like it had balanced out. Though it took all those years later. So,
Mhm.
like, I need, because, oh, yeah, that's what I told her. I remember I told her, no, I need to help you find this ring. Like, I
Mhm.
told her that. I was like, I need to help you find this
It's
ring.
almost
I didn't know you.
like a
Yeah.
balancing of a
But that was,
karmic thing.
yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah.
amazing, right?
Yeah.
Like
And
I
it's
just
interesting
knew.
too, is like it comes back full circle,
Yeah.
Like in
It
that.
sucks that my friend, like, I haven't spoken to her in years and years and years, but I mean, it sucks that I lost, because I remember I feeling like, oh shit, like, man, that was very messed up, right? Like
Well,
to
and the
not,
difference would be is that so if we talk about karma, right? Is like, yeah, there's this, but the difference is that I mean, unless you did it intentionally. So there's some things
no,
people do it like straight out, flat
I
out
mean, I was
intention,
young.
right?
Yeah, I was young.
Exactly. Exactly. So it was an accidental, hurt, but you understood it. The difference would be is like if you were to like, yeah, who cares? Right. And then to something happen again, but instead you felt the pain of it much older, right? You were like, wow, like I can understand that now when I was much younger. So then this brings you back full balance. So there's a couple of things in there which I love, okay, right? Is the balancing of that energy so that you wouldn't carry guilt, right? Because the thing is that karma isn't it's a Sanskrit word that just talks about the lessons that we're here to learn, right? Those are the things that we're here are learnings. Dharma are the lessons already learned, the gifts, the abilities we have. We come in that's easier, right? The things already learned. So we have things known, dharma, and things that we're trying to understand, which is karma. But karma is misunderstood as like it's like some kind of like balancing God that's out to create like vengeance,
Mm.
right? And it's not about that, right? It's about like you understood like, oh my gosh, I unwittingly caused harm to somebody. And I understand that. So let me try to recreate a balance, by helping someone find this ring, right? So then you're able to recreate balance in there. So now you've offset that experience. And now there's no longer this deficit. So if we think about it, it's really about wanting to always have balance. The universe is always wanting to be in balance, right? When there's an extraction in one, there's over in another, we need to come back into balance. And so it's an easy way to understand that we're here to understand all of those experiences, right? And then the second thing that comes up in that is like you said, you felt the specialness when you held the ring. And so with that, that's psychometry. So psychometry is the
No,
practice.
I never touched the ring,
Oh,
but
okay.
yeah,
Okay.
no, she, yeah.
So
No,
you
but
were just
go
able
ahead. But
to, well, that's
you can say that
interesting
anyway.
though. Okay,
Yeah.
so then that's a third thing, okay? So
Okay.
psychometry is the ability to touch something and feel the energy that's held in the object.
Mm.
So sometimes like I love that we did this with Christy, So I couldn't see her. I've never met her. I don't know her. I love that she had that ability, but somehow it opens up into this field. I can sense and feel her personally, right? There's something in there in this exchange. And so with psychometry, so that's an ability to be able to sense somebody at a difference energetically, right? And then some people may need to hold something to feel it, to have like an energetic connection, and so sometimes those are tools that can be used, and it's also an ability. So objects hold imprints of energy. Just like that's why they call them hunted places,
Mm.
right? So huntings and hunted places or hunted objects, they hold essences, they hold energies. They're not necessarily inanimate. Like they're objects that hold vibe. And so that's psychometry. And then the third thing that you were talking about is again, sensing energies, right? You can feel it. And that's claircognizance. You just have a knowing. You knew the ring was special, and then clairsentience, you could feel it. And then that empathic ability, right? You can feel her emotion. You can feel the sadness.
Mm.
You can like all of that. So people are not, we think that our thoughts are separate, but they're not. That we're all infused in this field. We can feel the energies of people just like you described. And so if we have a willingness, we can understand that, oh my gosh, we are infused in a world of energy that communicates to us and informs us all the time, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, and even
Becoming that being, that spirit infused being is like this. Imagine that if everybody operated that way. Imagine if everybody understood intricately the emotions of others by sensing and feeling and thereby never wanting to ever cause harm. If we took such responsibility that the thoughts we think have an impact, and more so the words that we say, right? So people would be like, okay, don't say it out loud. Well, don't think it in the first place because our thoughts aren't private. So if you're thinking something about someone in their presence, they're going to feel you. They may not understand it. And they're going to be like, what the heck is wrong with that person? Like, why do they feel that way? Right? There is an energy. We do sense and feel one another. And so we are responsible for how we show up in the world. And then when we do that, then it's a superpower because then you can read the world, right? You are infused in a world of energy that informs you and navigates you. It's like um, being in a ship on an ocean without any navigation or tools, right? We're going to be bombarded about, with all of these waves that crash and they thrash us. But if we actually own up, armor up, get instrumentation, find a map, have a destination, navigate the stars, know your instrumentation, know how to read it, know how to maneuver, we can guide it, and that's what I'm talking about. And that's actually what it comes back to is that there is a way. I can go on talking about this forever,
No,
man.
no, you're good. No, no, I was just gonna say like I get that because see, it was kind of similar to my dream, like with this person, because I think I forgot if that experience happened before I had that dream or after, right? Oh, who's calling? I don't know who's calling. Let me see.
And they're muted.
Hello,
Hello,
Oh,
who's this?
this is Sergio Cardenas.
Hey, hey, how's it going? You had a question?
hi,
Yeah,
Sergio.
hi, Maria. I had a question. It's pretty much the same as the last caller. I'm having a lot of stagnant, like I feel like I'm stuck in my health and also in my in my life, job wise and money wise.
Okay. Now, in the space that you're in, like the first impression that I get, no, first of all, I thank you, Sergio. Did they call you Sergio or Sergio?
Either they call me both.
Okay, so for some reason I want to call you Sergio, and I want to say,
Okay.
Sergio, don't be so serio.
Yeah.
Who tells you that?
Well, a couple of people because they always say I'm very serious.
Okay,
Once they get to know me, I'm not really that serious.
okay. And that's what I'm feeling because I feel like this energy with you and through you. I also get a sense, okay, now, somebody just recently around you, I feel like an anniversary, and I'm feeling a male figure. So I don't know if your father has passed or the person who you would consider to be father figure. I feel that this is, okay. I feel like it's a grandfather or somebody who's older, and I see horses. So who was the ranchero who had the horses? They like, not ranchero. There's something about horses, and I'm seeing a vaquero.
Well, my grandpa used to be in the rancho, but he never. It was around animals, but never really owned any.
Okay, did he want to? Because I'm seeing horses. Who had the horses?
Um,
Or maybe
my
it's
well, my
just
brother, my brother, he had a small horse for his son, but he had
okay.
gotten rid of it.
Okay. Okay. And I think it's more like the symbology of your grandpa, because I feel like the way he shows himself to me, but I feel like I feel like you come from a lineage of powerful like men who work the land, like all this, like the vaqueros, the rancheros, like the all of this energy. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, I mean, they were like I said, they were always in the area where they grew up. They always had a lot of ranchos around there.
Okay. No, I feel like this comes through, but I feel you as, and I'm going to say that you are very attuned. I feel like the word sensitive has come up, but it's a trigger word because I feel like you were a very attuned child growing up. You were very aware. I feel that you were like very open. I feel that you still are. And I feel like there's a there's a sense of loss that I feel also, but it's in a different way that it feels like, are you recently out of a relationship?
No. My parents, they separated.
Okay, so that's what I'm feeling is like the separation of a relationship.
Yes.
Um, okay, and there's something deeper within that. It feels like I am seeing you as though you were a child, and I'm feeling like there's this deep I have this image in my mind of like you looking at a sunset. It's like, and you're thinking about it so deeply, and they're looking at the colors, but I feel this deep sadness inside, and you're like, how come nobody can see this? And then they're looking at you like, get to work. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you are very creative also. I feel like I literally am seeing um like the book Bless Mi Última. I'm seeing Rodolfo Anaya. I'm seeing like deep novel work, but it's built with culture. There's some history in there. And I feel like you have I'm there's either a desire for school that you wanted to go to school, you couldn't go to school, but you don't need to go to school. So there's like that you either weren't able or there's like a missing of the degree or there's something about that. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, I've been when I graduated from high school, I wanted to go into a trade school, and because of money, I wasn't able to. But right now, as what I'm doing, I learned it along the way. But
Okay.
recently, I still have that feeling of going back to school.
And I see that for you. So I see that you going back to school, but it may not be in the way that you think. Because I feel that you
Mhm.
you are such a deep thinker. Okay? That you have but you think deeply and you feel deeply. I feel you reaching and wanting like this deep hunger inside of you that is an unquenchable hunger. That kind of hunger is different. It's not food, and I'm speaking of. It's like the sustenance for soul. I feel you reaching out, and I do see that you have like this devotion. I feel you have a deep faith. Does this make sense to you?
Yes.
Okay, in there I see that you have an ability for words. You're a written word, okay? You're a man of few words. You hardly speak, but when you speak from your heart. And when you speak from your heart, people hear you. You have a way to express. And do you already write?
No, I don't.
Have you had the desire? Do you feel like you can't? Were you late to writing or were you dyslexic? Because there's a fear of writing.
No, I just never really. Well, my thing is in my job. One thing they point out is that I don't like to write. So at my work, I got to write down everything that I did, and that's the last thing I want to do at the end of my day.
Oh, okay, because it's more of a log. You're just like, nah, it's not the kind of writing that I'm talking about because
Hmm.
so okay, now I understand where that's coming in. Now, it's more about your sharing. I feel like the reason, like if you chose to, Sergio, is like you could like even in your journals, even just because it's like all in here in your head, and I feel like you have a way to tell story. I feel like when and to share your experiences. I do see you going back to school, which actually feels really good. So it's gonna be easier than you think, okay? And you might
Hmm.
think like, oh, I'm not entitled to programs, I'm too old, this stuff isn't available to me. Look, because I'm seeing that there's something in there about continuing education, even like a workforce development program, even through like a workforce program. So it's like I do see you going back to school and you thrive. And I see that it's not the kind of writing you want to do. You don't want to be making logs, okay? But I see that you're like actually wanting to express. It's more poetic. So it's like even if
Hmm.
you just jot down like 3 or 4 sentences at a time, there's something really creative in there for you. And the stagnation is because it's really calling you in another direction. But I see where. Hmm, it's like you would, if you had your choice, I would see you going to school full time, but then there's also the thing about income also. But I see that there's an ability for you to tap into workforce development. So tap into that and see what programs are available because it feels like it's much more easier said than done. And I see that somewhere locally, like you have a really good local program. So whether that's like your own local community colleges are like aces. I feel like
Hmm.
there's something really incredible there for you that it's like where you might have thought about it in one way, it's like everything is like guiding you for the exact same thing in a better way that you might not have even thought of. Okay. And
Hmm.
it takes you where you want to go. So I see writing, I see school, I see even And I don't know why I see a cat. I see like a dark room, like with a cat. I don't know who has the cats. Where's the cats?
Um, well, recently we had a cat, and well, it left, and my daughter and my wife, I mean, they're both still sad about the cat.
Hmm. Tell them the
Mhm.
cat comes up. Like, because the cat's actually seeing the cat's okay. They can they don't have to feel guilty. Did she accidentally
Yeah.
run him over?
No, I mean, the cat, it just ran away, but I saw it once, but that was the last time I saw him. I tried to call him, but I couldn't find him. So I was in my head, I'm like, did I really see him, or was it just
Okay.
me thinking that was him?
Okay. No, so because to me it actually felt like the cat got run over. If it did, I'm so sorry. I don't know. But
Mm,
I hope that's not the case. I pray that I am wrong. But I just
I
feel
hope not.
like, yeah, I hope not. But I want to say like the like not to blame the cat. The cat's okay. I mean, not to
Mhm.
feel guilty about the cat. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. This when you go in the direction of like if we realize, okay, this is like this maybe for anybody listening, this might be a hard thing to do. But when we look at our life in a different way of what is the thing that we want to do the most? And the thing that we want to do the most is the thing that's most precious to us, that is the scariest thing to do. That's the thing that we don't do because it means too much to us in a weird way. And so instead, it's like, okay, what would happen if I don't do this thing? What would my life be like in my life review, right? So in when I had my when I died, when I had this life review, we look at our own lives and we're not judged. We actually look at our own. And what I realized is like, oh my God, I am not doing the thing that I promised God that I would do, which is this. I was denying every bit of this. And when I realized like God has a plan, and when I stopped resisting it and started following it, it's like we come online. It's like our God spark, that ánimo a vivir, that passion for living inside of us. It's this fire inside. So when they show like the Immaculate Heart or the Sacred Heart, they usually show hearts with fire inside of them, right? That's a passion inside that every single one of us has a gift that God gave us, a thing that we're here to do. And it's the thing that we have to ask ourselves, how would I feel if I don't do it? And so if we feel like, oh my God, so what I did is I wrote my own obituary. I know that that sounds really morbid, but it's an actual practice. It was in this weekend intensive that I was in, and that was life-changing for me because I was holding on to so much fear. And when I was faced with the thought of crossing over, never having done it, changed my life. Then we step towards courage. So I see that there's really awesome things coming for you. I do see school. And there's don't ever say anything. Who's teasing you about your age? I feel like let all that go. And like, hombre, ya pa qué, ya basta. It's like, no, go for it. Because if it's the
Yeah,
thing, you
well,
got to do.
me and my wife just probably a couple of hours ago, we were with my sister-in-law, and we were joking about each other's age.
Okay. I
Yeah.
hear it because it's like I'm like I hear it. So I'm like, no, let all that go. It is
Mm,
honestly just a number and we can reverse it. It's what we feel inside. It's what we feel inside. So I see amazing things and it's like when we step in that direction, then there's more life force, more energy, más ánimo a vivir. There's more of this that igniting. So that God spark that we have starts off as a spark, but it becomes a
mm,
fire, right? And so it's and we just got to feed it. It's so think about it this way. When we start a fire, right? We got to keep feeding it the logs or else it'll dwindle down into just those embers. And so we can rekindle it again. So throw another
Mm-hmm.
log. As long as we keep feeding our soul and that purpose and that creative thing, it's going to guide you. Take that step. But go check that out because I do see that. So where I worked was with senior service programs, and there's a ton of funding and programs available for older adults because you guys I'm like 50 now, okay, but we carry the most wisdom. You have life experience within you to share, so there is so much more available to us. And so there's more for you too. And so, yeah,
Mm.
enjoy it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had another question. Growing up, I had some events that happened throughout my life where I was able to basically almost predict what was going to happen. Um, I had a serious accident that I was able to foresee
Hmm.
before it happened because my younger brother wanted to go with us in that same vehicle. But at the moment of opening the door for the car, something told me, do not let him get in the car.
Hmm.
And we had an accident. The impact was all on my side. Luckily, I didn't fracture anything. The accident was really bad. Also, a passing of my uncle. Um, I woke up in the middle of the night. It was just like a movie played in front of me. I was like, the
Hmm.
phone's gonna ring. My mom's gonna get up, turn on the kitchen light, answer the phone. She's gonna start crying. My uncle just passed.
Hmm.
As soon as I saw that in my head and said that to me, phone rang. Everything that I saw happen.
Hmm.
They left to go see my uncle,
Hmm.
and the last 3 months of my uncle's life, he was living with us. And when they left to go see before they took the body, we heard him. Me and my brother, we heard him inside the home.
Hmm. Yes.
And I also had told my girlfriend or wife, I told her about the breakup that my parents went through. I told them years ago that that's what's going to happen. And I told her exactly how everything was going to play out, how my
Hmm.
dad was going to go one route.
Hmm.
And even my sickness now, I had told her when I hit this age, I feel like something bad's going to happen to me.
Right.
So, I mean, what does all that have to do? Because I
Hmm.
had a cleansing from a woman, and she helped me a lot. I mean, she guided me a couple things, gave me a couple words of advice, and told me exactly when she did the cleansing, what was I going to see, what was I
Hmm.
going to hear at night, or all that. And everything she said exactly played out
Hmm.
that night. So she told me that I had to go more into the spiritual side,
Hmm.
but I don't know how to tap into that.
Well, and I feel like this is probably the reason why I mentioned Bless Mi Ultima and Rodolfo Anaya. So he talks about the tradition in the Hispanic culture of curanderos and curanderas. So like limpias and energy clearings and all of those things. So every single one of us has there is a greater part of ourselves on the other side. It's like it's like our life is and this is the strangest thing because we have free will and choice also. So we can change anything inside there. But the things that are inevitable, the things that are written that we cannot change, the passing of your uncle, right? How all of that laid out. It's like you had a precognition that is like a knowing before it happens because it's already written. Every single one of us, before we ever get here, all comes together to have this writing of our experience. We plan it together, and it's so hard to understand to when people say, well, time doesn't exist. Everything's happening all at the same time. How? Well, that's that it and on the other side, like we understand that it's all like played out like a movie, like you just described. It's like we're here experiencing it in the real time, but in a sense, it's already happened. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
in that moment, it's like you are your higher self. giving you an awareness to be prepared for something about to happen. And so it because it's already written, so we have a precognition, right? That is an ability. Every single one of us has that ability to do it, but some of us have the gift to tap into it. Sometimes it happens not as clear as yours. Yours is a really heightened gift, Sergio. Other people might only get snippets. They might get a feeling. They might get they might come in a different way. Yours was really clear, right? Images and direct messages. So we have to pay attention when those things happen because we are incredible souls. We have like Akashic record soul reading is like our life is written before us. We're experiencing it in the real time. And what that means is that our consciousness is in this present moment experiencing it. But in our consciousness, our thoughts, our mind, we can travel to other times, other places. And in that moment, out of need, out of what was about to happen, these extreme traumatic things, it's like a preparation of your soul to give you this guidance, to prepare you, right? So that's a gift. It's an ability to be able to see that. So it comes to people in different ways and in different levels. So thank you for sharing that. So that's the gift of precognition, precognitive. Sometimes it comes to people in prophetic dreams, sometimes, and it sometimes might feel like a daydream, and that might not come true for a while. So when things are that profound, we gotta just pay attention. So thank you for sharing that. Thank you.
I mean, thank you for
Yeah.
explaining it more in detail.
Yeah,
Yeah,
gracias.
because also, what does the number 11 have to do
Mm.
with? I mean, I see it
Anything?
a lot. I mean,
Yes. Okay. So
yeah.
11 is so the number 11 is a master number. 11 represents the number of intuition. And so when a person in numerology, right, everything there's is a language. So numerology is a language to explain energies, and that there's a sacred geometry. So it's a way to tap into like an energy and of who we are, how our personalities, how things show up. But when we see the number 11, and especially 1111, it signifies like this code of awakening. Like people will see it like synchronistically. It begins to open up to like they're paying attention to things happening around them, things that seem like they're coincidence, but they're not. So it's a way to signal to the person of like, ooh, you're opening up spiritually. So like the limpia that you had from the lady that you had the cleansing from was telling you to pay attention or to go more spiritually, you're seeing the signs. So God and our guides, ourselves, our higher self speaks to us and through us all the time. And so when we start to see the messages, we start to see the signs. So when you see repetitive things happen, you receive repetitive numbers. Those are all signs of synchronicity that shows that you're starting to get in sync with all of this big energy, this your own self. So miracles and magic and you know, those two words, like they might not sound like they can be used in the same sentence, but they can. Like there are things that are wondrous that happen around us all the time. We just have to have the eyes to see them. I call it developing soul eyes. It's like, yes, there's the world out there, but there's so much more. And that when we start seeing them, it's like a whole new way of experiencing. Yeah, then we can like begin to tap into that soul, that guidance, those messages. So it's a big thing. I'm
Okay.
glad you asked. Oh, this has been
Yeah.
exciting.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Thank you so
Well,
much.
thank you so much.
before you hang up, Sergio, I wanted to
Yeah.
actually ask you, so when you've had these precognitive, because that was one of the first things that happened to me, right? That's what helped me not doubt anything, right? My first one I could trace to when I was like 5 years old, and I had this whole precognitive thing. So when that happens to you, like what do you feel it's leading you towards? Like how does that stand out to you? Like, what does it mean to you?
Well, I had a lot of issues growing up. I mean, a lot of things going on at home and everything. So when I always felt like I had to be a protector,
Mm,
and usually, like when I told you about the car accident with my brother, somebody told me, like, do not let him in here.
Mhm.
And the thing with my uncle and all this, I mean, I never had back then when I was younger, I never believed in ghosts, anything spiritual.
mm,
But when that happened with my uncle, it was the night that I had the accident. He passed away the next night after that. So I went to go see him. As soon as I was done seeing him that night, we left, and that's when we had the accident. And then the next night, that's when he passed away.
Mhm.
And so it like those 2 days was all crazy for me because it's like I told you, it's like it's a movie played in front of you.
Mhm.
yeah,
Like
absolutely.
it was like a little like a flashback. And then when I heard him in the room, I thought I was going crazy. But when my brother confirmed it that he was hearing it on the other side of the house,
Mhm.
I mean that's
Yeah,
when. But I wasn't scared. It was
Mhm.
calming, because I knew who it was.
yeah,
And from there, I mean, I had multiple incidents where I could have lost my life, and I
mm,
even think about it now. I'm like, how did I
Protected.
didn't die here? Like I felt like something was protecting me, but
You were
I at the same
protected.
time,
Yeah.
feel like I had to protect everybody else.
But you
And
are
absolutely,
protected, because you're the
absolutely.
protector.
yeah,
And
Hmm.
and I think that's see, like for me, that's it's just like the confirmation of all confirmations. Like even that, like if you're willing, they'll communicate with you directly. You already had, not a lot of people get confirmation to like me. I really don't doubt. I love to sometimes talk like because at first, yeah, I guess I got conditioned in that way when I started experiencing everything. We didn't have the internet. I didn't have no one to talk to. I would try to tiptoe at church, but I could tell they weren't really comfortable with me saying, "Hey, I'm seeing the future." Like, and I would see it
yeah,
with such accuracy and even that, even psychics, like when I would try to tell them, like, no, when I see the future, it happens. It doesn't, because some people are like, wow, it's not really written. Like it's maybe it could no, when I see it, it happens. I've tried to prevent it from happening. And if I dream something, it happens. So it's really just confirmation. Like I think like, yeah, like how she was saying, you already have that. So I think
yeah.
when you're ready, they're gonna communicate with you directly, and you really don't even need to talk to anybody, really.
Yeah, because honestly, I mean, like I said, when I got sick with this condition, I mean, like I already had told my girlfriend, and even my girlfriend, she even told me like I predicted a couple of things that were gonna happen with her family
Mm.
also, and she even told me she's like, "Ay, eres brujo, don't tell me those things," you know. And it made me laugh. But when the lady did this limpia, and that's something that I don't really tell anybody, but when she did it, I mean, there were some demonic figures that showed up because my sister took a picture when she was doing
Mm.
it, and the thing that she told me if I hear her everything, it was something very
Very strong.
uh, it was very
Hmm.
I'm not really easily scared, but that thing gave me the chills. I
Oh
mean,
wow.
and it was just exactly how she said it, and that made me get more into it. I started looking more into the spiritual world, and also the job that I have. I saw a person there, and when it was in a room that has no only one way in, one way out,
Mm.
and when I was explaining it to my boss, who I saw, they told me, it's like, oh, the person you're describing is somebody that already passed away that used to work here.
Hmm.
And recently, one of the supervisors, I mentioned it to him. He's like, do they scare here? And I told him, yeah. So when I described him the guy, he's like, hold on. He's like, I have a picture of the person because I never seen the guy. And when he brings me the picture, he had goosebumps all over. He's like, dude, this is the guy that you described. I'm like, that's the same person I saw.
Mm.
Hmm.
So I
Wow.
mean, it's just a bunch of things that are
See,
coming
and
more,
so
you
I
know.
think I think you bring that up really good, Sergio. Then this is probably a really good way to kind of like help bring it to like a closing. Is that we started off by saying we have to have discernment, or we didn't. I don't actually we didn't talk about that, that there's a lot that's actually opening up and happening to people, and that we all have this ability, but we have to use discernment, right? So you're describing a combination of things. There's precognition, okay, which is what you guys are saying, like it's the exact unfoldment of the exact specific things as they happen. Okay, so that's precognition. Okay, that's different than like getting like sensing, people's paths that weave in and out. That's different. Okay. And then the other
Hmm.
part of it is that it's when I say that, that we should not delve and tap into things, dabble into things that we do not understand. Because as you just described, is that, you could be, working with someone who is unfamiliar with energies and entities, and that do, and for people who may not be familiar with the word limpia, so it's like an energy clearing. Okay, so it's an energy clearing and a cleansing, and that we're working in realms that do have entities, energies, and spirits. And who, for people who are not prepared to work in those realms, they could be messing and dabbling in things that they do not understand. And that's where I said at the very beginning of this call, this interview, or not the interview, but the live, is that, we should not be messing with things that we do not understand, right? So in this case, you
Yeah.
had somebody help you, assist you, to help release you, to do the cleansing, to do the releasing, the energy clearing. Then she had the precognition to say, okay, be prepared for this, and if in this case happens. And those worlds and those realms do exist. And this is why we have to, be prepared, be very careful with what we're thinking, how we're feeling. If we're feeling negative or having fear, that we work with ourselves to not be in that, because our energies open up to those worlds and realms. And so sometimes when we feel stuck, we go to people that help us. So I'm really glad that you already said that you went to somebody. Doing another would be really good to help release that even more, to help even clear up more energy to do the things you want to do. So
Yeah.
it's really about discernment. There is this world that we do coexist in, and that's
Yeah,
really
because
what all this about. Mm-hmm.
this lady that did it, and I have heard it from a lot of people. Even I don't know really like the Hispanic traditions and stuff. She
Mm-hmm.
had told me she's like, oh, she's like, you have a bone, and you could do this. She's like, you could do
Mm-hmm.
this. And one time I took her, my daughter, and we went to go see her, and my daughter wasn't feeling good, and she's like, why is your daughter so serious? I'm like, ah, she has an upset stomach. And she gave me an earful. She's like, I told you you could do it and this and that. You could help her. And she
Mm-hmm.
helped. She just put her hand over my daughter's stomach. And my daughter just, I told her, like, what did you feel? She like, it felt like she was pulling something out of my stomach and my pain went away.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
So I was like, wow. And she told me, she's like, you have this gift. You can do it. And I'm like, she's like, you just need to practice it. And I'm like, but I don't even know how to practice it. And when I told my mom, because like I said, she wasn't the first one to tell me that, and I had heard it from other people. And when I called my mom later on that day, I'm like, Mom, I'm like, do you believe in bones? And she's like, yeah, you have one. And I said, how do you know that? And she's like, well, in our tradition where you grew up, like if the baby's crying in the womb, it means that kid is going to be born with that bone. And I'm
Wow.
like, well, I don't know, but when the lady told me that night, I'm like, I'm gonna call my mom to see what does she think about that. And when I called her, I didn't even tell her, oh, I went to this lady. I just told her, oh, Mom, what are you doing? I'm like, hey, do you believe in people with illness? And she right away she told me, say, yeah, you have one.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I started getting more into it. Like I said, I started getting more into the spiritual stuff, because I did have a lot of things when I doubted. I had things that show up to tell me, no, this does exist.
It does.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
Yes.
immediately after, like how doubt that day, immediately later on, I had my answer that day. Like, no,
Wow.
this is here,
Yeah.
you
Mm-hmm.
No.
know.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I
No.
always tell people when I tell people stories like this, they tell me this and that, and I tell them, I wish you guys go through something. I mean, not something scary, but something, just so you guys can see that there is something out there.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. No,
Mm-hmm.
Sergio, thank you so much. I don't know if you want to take another call, Maria, but thank
I
you so
wish
much,
that I
Sergio.
All right,
could.
Yeah.
Thank
I
you.
so wish that I could, but
Okay,
I'm already gonna have to, yeah. Oh,
okay.
so here's what we could do, okay, is that we could definitely do this on like a regular, okay? So I want to do
Absolutely.
this for sure. And then hopefully they'll be able to come back on.
Okay. Well, I think it was just, I think you helped her last time. It was Sylvia.
Oh,
Uh, unless she just, I could let her in and say thank you real quick, but just to say bye or something, or no.
well, and I know that it would open up to so much more. The only thing is that I actually companies came and they're
Okay.
actually like
Okay,
waiting for
no worries.
dinner.
Okay,
So I'm
sorry, Sylvia.
so
You,
sorry.
yeah, yeah. But no, thank you to everybody that tuned in. We'll have to do it
Yes.
again after, another
Thank
next
you,
week or something. Yeah.
Sylvia.
Yeah, yeah.
I wish that I could, but I'm like they've already slipped me a note of like dinner. Like, almost,
Okay.
almost,
All right.
almost.
So no, so thank you so much, Maria. That was beautiful. Yeah, I wish we had more time, but we'll end it there. I appreciate Sergio and Christy for calling in and opening up these conversations as well, or helping us, with these conversations. So thank you
Yes,
so much.
absolutely. Thank you for allowing me. Like truly, I may people know that there really truly is a sacred honor for me. That it is nothing short of like to feel the essence of people's souls, to be able to do soul reading for them, to be able to help them with where they're at and what's coming up is one of the most sacred things that could ever be done. And for me, that's truly what it is. So Sylvia, I thank you for allowing me to send to your brother. Please come on the next time. We'll try to do that. We'll try to get to through more phone calls as we progress. But yeah, it really is a deep honor and a sacred thing for me. So I thank you for letting me.
Absolutely. So on that note, we'll end it, and yeah, I'll see you all next time.
Okay.